but we are going to go through Transaction Desk today. So I'm going to start you off in Paragon. And when you're writing an offer and it's a listing, obviously in Paragon, you're going to go into your Paragon and we're going to go directly from the link in there. I'm also going to show you in Transaction Desk how to start a new transaction, something that's not listed, and we can pull tax records. I'm also going to show you a couple other shortcuts, and then we're going to get you through quite a bit today. So just bear with me here. I'm going to take you back over. I'm going to turn off my camera so you have a full screen, and I'm going to clean up my background here so you don't see a million things. So just bear with me here so I can turn this off. Perfect. So if you can log into your Paragon page, let's go ahead and start from a listing first to start up our Transaction Desk. And I am going to take you to one of my listings because it's probably the easiest thing to do. So if you have a property you need to write an offer on, you are welcome to use that. If you want to use your own to play with it, you're welcome to use that as well. My property address is 26200 Rosebriar. So you can type that up in the power search right up here at the top of your screen. And once you do, it will pop up underneath, and we're looking for the active one. So you're going to go ahead and click on that. So it'll open up the full listing. So it's 26200 Rosebriar if you're using mine. And here's my listing. So we're going to take a look here. You should have the legacy full agent report or maybe agent detail with map opened up. So if you look on the left side of your screen with a legacy full agent, you have these icons below. And we're going to go to our transaction desk, which is going to be right here. It's like a little blue square. It's got lines. I'm not quite sure why they don't have just like a T on it, but once you hover over it, it should say start a transaction. If you have agent detail with map, your icons are in the center. It should be toward the end of it as well. So go ahead and click on that, and let's go into our transaction desk. What it's doing is it's pulling in all the information from that listing into Transaction Desk to get us started. And it's going to take me to my current one. So I'm going to start a new transaction in here. Stay where you're at. I just want you to have the same view as me, but because I already have this listing, it wants to take me back to my current one. So I'm going to start a new one just so we have the same view. So just bear with me here for a second. Okay, so you should have this pop up, and it will have the property address, and it's going to ask you for a template first. Now, if you don't see template, it's no concerns. What the templates are the contracts that we're using for this transaction, which would be an offer, put together so you're not having to pull one at a time and what you need. So what they do is they group them together and they create these templates for you, and then you can just select them. So if you, as template, there's a drop down, and you're going to go down to any buyer package that you might see or offer package, select that. If you don't have one, don't worry. At the end, I'll show you how to create these. But a lot of offices have theirs already created. So I'm going to select mine, buyer package. And then yours should show the MLS number. Since mine did not pull up because it went to my actual listing, I'm going to go ahead and pull it right here. So just bear with me for 1 second here. I'm going to go ahead and put the MLS number in here. And it's going to ask you, what are you? Are you a selling agent, listing agent, both, neither? So I'm going to put selling agent for this test. And actually, I'm going to put up here class test so I don't mix this up with my real file. And it's going to automatically take you to the wizard. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. I know this program really well. I could probably do it in my sleep. Always use the wizard. The wizard will auto-save for you when your computer freezes. You can stop where you're at and then go back to it later, whatever you need to, but you won't lose anything along the way. So select create in the top right corner of your screen once everything is selected. And we're going to get this loaded real quick here. Okay, so once it's loaded, it's going to take you through 5 different steps. Very simple. It will walk you through each one. So our first step here, it says details in the center, step 1 of 5. You have a previous button and a next button. They'll take you back and forth. At the very bottom, there's a save and exit. If you do this, if you need to stop wherever you're at, you just hit save and exit. It takes you out of the wizard into your dashboard. Okay. So the very first section here is going to show the property address. There might be some things filled in, some are not. So the idea of selecting the link from Paragon, it's going to as much information as it can into your contracts, so that will save you some time. So property type though is residential, and I'm going to scroll down a little further here. So since I'm writing an offer, I'm going to go over to the right side where it says purchase information. You can see listing information is on the left, purchase on the right. When you're putting together a listing package, this is the exact same steps, same pages you're going to take a look at. So you notice here's for your listing side, here's for your offer side. So you want to put in a purchase price. I did have a multiple offer deadline in this, so I'm going to go a little higher on this. The way this market is running, it's going to be crazy again. I was about to write an offer on a property in Royal Oak. I showed my client on Saturday, 80 showings and 34 offers. So, and the last I spoke to him, he was, I think, 40,000 over asking, and there were more still coming in. So, a little crazy. So be prepared. Deposit. And one thing you'll notice as I type this in, no commas, no decimals, just put the numbers in. So we'll say $10,000 deposit. We want to make our offer strong. So purchase price and deposit I want in here. I'm going to scroll down further, and where it says property includes or property excludes, these items will show up on your contract as well. So I am including all the appliances, so I can type in here all appliances. And maybe they are taking one of the chandeliers. So chandelier in dining room, which they're not, but just for example, so you can see where it goes on the contract, dining room will be replaced by seller. Okay, so those are the main things you want on this first section here. I'm going to go ahead and select next in the top. And the next step is going to be our date. So now we want to type in what is our closing date. So you can notice here the listings on here. I can put in my offer date, which will be today. When you click on it, the calendar pops up. So you can just click on the date. You can put a time, offer expiration date if you'd like. And then I'm going to scroll down further and find my closing day. So obviously this is the most important. I'm going to write this up as though it is a cash deal. So we'll say we're closing the end of the month. So we'll say the 28th. Now you'll notice from closing date to possession date, it automatically pre-fills the same date. So if you are giving any occupancy after closing, make sure you change this date. Typically, I don't see possession date pop into our contract, into our purchase agreement. I still usually have to fill that in, but I usually will make sure that's changed either way. Okay, and then I'm going to hit next, top right corner. Now you should see the next section for contacts. It's going to show the listing broker, which is my office, selling agent or listing agent is myself. Then it should show your office for your selling broker, yourself as a selling agent. Now we need our clients. So if you notice here on the right side, there is an add and a plus sign. All throughout Transaction Desk, if you need to add, or if there's an option to add, look for that plus sign in the add. It's typically the same in any page or any folder you're looking at. So you're going to select add, and it's going to give you 4 options. I can add from a contact, so I can type in their information. I can use one of my existing contacts, which is my address book. Every time you add or create a transaction here and you add your contacts, it automatically puts them in your address book. So you want to keep saving them, so it creates its own address book right on Transaction Desk for you. Yourself, or you can pull from your Google contacts as well. So we're going to add new because I want to walk you through the steps. Okay, so first thing up here at the top, what type of contact are you adding in? You have all kinds of options. You can add as many people as you want to these transactions. So for example, if there's an attorney involved, we can add him in. That way you can send things for him to review. If they want their parents to look at it, you can add them. You can send this over to your title company, to a mortgage company, whoever you want, you can add into as your contacts for this transaction. We're going to add our buyer. So I'm going to select buyer. And you're going to type in first and last name. So we're going to put on here, I'm going to make up names here. And then you're going to put in an email address. So if you would put in your own email address, I can walk you through the Authentisign and it'll come to you so you can take a look at how it works. So it's easier to explain for your clients. So go ahead and put in your own email address. And then what I want to explain below that is this legal name, preferred signature, preferred initials. So if you have a buyer that the name and the signature are different, for example, they buy everything in their LLC name. So I have a buyer, he buys only in his LLC, but when he signs, I want the signature to be his actual name. This is where you have to type in this information. So I would have up here, because everything in first name and last name will print underneath the signature lines. So for example, for my client, I would put in his LLC name. And then down here where it says preferred signature, I would actually put in his full name. And preferred initials would be his actual initials. So when you get the contracts, typed below the signature lines will be what I have up top, so his LLC name. But when he actually clicks on those boxes, his real name will appear, his real initials will appear. So this is the only time you ever have to fill this out, is if there's something different. Maybe it's a power of attorney. They've got executor of the estate, whatever it might be. If their actual name printed and their actual signature are two different things, that's where you fill this in. Otherwise, you don't have to touch this. So if I go back to just my regular buyer, which I will for this one, then you can just leave it as is. Okay. You'll notice here it automatically sets up to add to your address book. And at the top here, you do have an address tab. You can add in as much information as you want, but anything that is with a red asterisk, those are mandatory. So you have to make sure those 3 items are filled in. And if you're doing Authentisign, you want to make sure that your email address is in here as well. Do I have a, okay. Perfect. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and hit save in the top right corner. Okay, and we're going to add Mrs. Buyer now. So we've added Mr. Buyer, now we're going to add Mrs. Buyer. So I'm going to do the same steps again. Again, the more you do this, the easier it gets, and it's easier for you to remember. So add again, add and plus sign, create new transaction, and put in buyer again. Now put in your Mrs. Buyer. Now you have to put these in individually because they have individual signature lines, but you can use the same email address. So I'm going to use my email address right underneath here as well. Okay, perfect. So you'll have Mr. Buyer in, Mrs. Buyer in, use your email address so you get those signings, and we're going to hit save on this, and I should be all set. So now I have my listing broker, listing agent, selling broker, selling agent myself, and then I have my buyers in here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and select next in the top right corner. Okay, so now we're to our forms. Now, if you have no forms and nothing popped up and you didn't have a template, don't worry, I'm going to show you how to add them in. But when you do have a template and you select it, you're going to get what you see here. Not the exact same forms, but whatever your office has put together, or if you've created them, whatever you have put together. So you should have your purchase agreement in here, your disclosure regarding agency relationship, any FHA or VA addendums if you're doing that. There might be a general addendum, whatever you need for this offer. To put the offer together. So if you have nothing or you don't have the correct ones, we're going to walk through adding them. So again, that add plus sign, we're going to select that. And you're going to see all kinds of folders. Now, your folders will be different than mine. You will see your whatever board you belong to, and you'll see your association, your office folders, and so forth. So to find what you need, you can hit the search up here in the top right corner. So if I'm looking for all the purchase agreements in here to see what my options are, I can just put purchase agreement, enter, and it's going to open up every purchase agreement that you have an option for, okay? Or your office might call it a buy and sell agreement, whichever one it is. When you find the one you want, there's a circle here on the right. You're just going to click on the one that you're looking for. So if I wanted to go to GMAR's purchase agreement, I can just click on it right here. Now, if I need other items, I don't have to add this and then come back. I can add multiple right from here. So what I'll do is I'll scroll back to my top, and I'm going to change this right here to whatever I want next, or I can just remove it, pull all my folders, and just go directly into my folder itself. So if I want to go down to Michigan Realtors, and I want to get, say, my disclosure regarding agency relationship, there it is. And you're going to click on that. Now, if you notice, as I do, I have a basket here on the top. So whenever you're selecting items, this basket appears at the top of your page. You will see a number in there. It'll show what you have in there. So you can go ahead and select as many as you need and then hit add. So it's all done at once. It'll save you some time. Okay, so once you have a couple items in there, you're going to select add. And it's going to drop it onto your forms. And if you have other forms, they'll be at the very bottom. Typically, it puts it, yep, there they are. So here's my GMAR purchase agreement, and then my disclosure regarding agency relationship. Okay, so that is pretty much what you need for this section. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. So we're going to hit next in the top right here. Okay, so now we're at, we did our forms. You're going to hit next here at the top. We're on documents. So let me explain documents because you have two different folders here. Forms are all your contracts and anything that is set up for you to fill out. So anything from your offices to fill out, or anything that you have for your offers that you'd like to include, those are typically in your forms. They're made so you can edit them and you can type into them. Documents are anything that you're uploading into the system or anything completed. So for example, when I send this in for Authentisign and my signing's done, it will drop the signed contracts under your documents. If I'm writing an offer and there's seller's disclosures uploaded into the system and it is a Paragon listing, that means it was entered into Paragon, it will automatically pull those disclosures for me right in here when I'm writing an offer. So you can see I have the seller's disclosure in here, I have lead-based paint, and I have appraisal guarantee addendum. It automatically pulls that, and it does because I clicked on it right from here, because I have my documents in here. So when I selected it from Paragon, it actually pulled those up for me. If the listing was put in through a different MLS, then you have to download those and upload them into your document section here, which I'm going to walk through next. So typically this is done only for offers. If you're writing a listing, usually you've got your seller's disclosure and your lead-based paint will be under forms because you'll be filling those out and your client will be signing those. So those won't be under documents yet. So I'm going to go ahead and add. So if you look again, top right corner, click on add. So you have two options. I can either open up a folder and find my documents that I need. Oops. And then I can drag them over. So give me 1 second here. Okay. So for example, if I need disclosures, I can, let's see if I have one of my disclosures popped up here, which I do. So here's like this North Vermont. If I want to do it from here, I can select this, left click, and you can select multiple, but hold the control and then drag it and drop it. And you'll notice it's dropped it in. So it should be right here at the bottom. Or I can click on add, click in this box in the center, and it's going to search your computer now for it. So then I can go to my downloads from there. And then I can find what I need from here. So if I had, let's just hit disclosures because I know I have a bunch of them in here. And there we go. So there's a few of these. Here's the lead-based paint. If I want to put this one back in again. So then you can select them both, hit open, and you can see those are also uploading right in there. There they are. So it's that simple. So you just hit add, select what you need. You can include your pre-approval letter in here. Anything else that you might want to include, maybe proof of funds, if it's a cash offer, you can add those in here because then you've got everything together. So when you send it over to the agent, send it to your client for signing, you can have everything in the same area, easier to find. Okay, so let us go to our next step. I'm gonna go ahead and hit done. I'm gonna actually delete these real quick. I'll leave this other one, it's fine, I got doubles, but we'll leave the other one. Okay, so hit done. And it's going to take you back to your dashboard. So this is your main dashboard. So when you go into Transaction Desk and you select, if you double click and open up one of your transactions, this is where it brings you if you're not going through the wizard and actually starting a transaction. So this is your dashboard. You'll see that you've got your property address here at the top, and then you have boxes here. Everything you're seeing here in my section, and it's probably different than yours because I've customized it, is what you'll see on the right side of your screen. So if you look at the right side, there's 3 arrows up here, and little 3 lines with an arrow. If you click on that, it will show you all your folders. So everything we just did is right in here, your 5 steps. So let's take a look at them real quick. We're on our dashboard. Wizard is right here. So if you need to go to your wizard from here, you can. You can also, if you save and exit and need to go back and you're actually, for some reason it logged you out, you can hit wizard from here as well. So we're on the dashboard right now. Details is step 1 of our wizard. So if I click on that, it takes me back to this section. So if I went through the wizard, fill this out, went back to make a change, I can just come in here and click on that section. I don't have to walk through that wizard again. So I can come in here and make my change and then go to whatever else I need. So there's all kinds of items in here. Under details, second one is contacts. And that's what we did as well. And that was where we added in our buyers. My forms are in here as well. Now, once you're out of the wizard, if you notice, each one of these, you've got these 3 dots, these menus. So if I need to do something to any of these, for example, there's no well and septic, and I want to get rid of this. I can click on the three dots and I actually have an option to delete. You can preview. You can see what the form looks like, make sure it's the right one. I can download the form. I can rename it. I use this one frequently, especially if I'm typing up addendums and then I have multiple going on. It gets confusing when they're all named general addendums. So I will rename these for whatever I need it to be so I know exactly what that's for. There's also an option to edit your form, which we'll be doing shortly. You can send it directly from here. I can send it as an email as well. I can copy or move it. I can put it in another folder. I can slice and markup, which I'll be showing you that as well. And I can send it to Authentisign and I can see history. History will tell you everything you've done with this transaction so far with that form. Okay, so if I want to delete this, which I'm going to remove like well and septic because there's no well and septic, I can just hit delete. If I want to remove it, I can. If I want to do something to multiple documents, you'll notice the basket's up here. So I can select multiple. So say I don't need this one and I don't need buyer needs analysis. I can go to my basket now and your basket has multiple options. So you Authentisign. You have a little box here to copy it. You can also download it into a zip file. So if you've got multiple, what it does, it downloads it as a zip. So it keeps it as a smaller folder for you and then you can extract them from your zip file. I can print directly from here. I can download it as a PDF. I can email it directly from here too to my client. I can send it to a fax machine and I can also trash them and delete. So you've got all kinds of options in here. Also, you can put these in any order. I like having my buy and sell agreement at the top. So if you look here on the left side of the little piece of paper here that shows the contract, there's all these lines. It gives you all these arrows. You left click, hold it, and drag it to wherever you like it. Again, I like it as my first one here, so we're going to move it to the top. I don't need this addendum for COVID. Hopefully I won't ever need those again. So we'll get rid of that. Okay, so I've got that. Say now I want my disclosure regarding agentship move to the top. I can move that up top as well. So again, it does give you an option to put these in whatever order you prefer. All right, so that is our forms. Go back to your right of your screen. I'm going to skip over signings because that's where you go into Authentisign. We're going to go to documents. That was our last of our 5 steps. So if you click on documents, it takes you right back to where we went in and the disclosures were there and I uploaded a couple. So there's my disclosures. You have the same options in here again. You got the 3 dots. Click on those. Pretty much the same. You can preview, print, download, delete, rename, send, copy, slice, send to Authentisign. You can upload a revision here, shows revisions. It gives you notes, history, and certify and digitally sign. So a lot of these notes and some of these items in here, these have to do with my office. So my office now uses Transaction Desk to keep all of our documents together and check to make sure that we have everything in here. So if you, I have like actually where they approve items. So you see where I have these, submit, I actually have to, some of these items will be submitted. They actually go in there and pull them and then they approve them all. So that is what that's for. So you may not, your office may not use that. It's a new thing that our office is using. But okay, so that is all we have in documents now. I am going to take you through how to fill these in before we do anything else. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to take you back to our forms, and you're going to double click and open up your first one. So let's go to our buy and sell agreements. So go ahead and open that up. Okay, so in our buy and sell agreement, we're going to look at what auto-filled, and let's take a look at what you still need to fill out. Okay, so you can see quite a bit filled in. So I've got my listing broker information, selling broker information, again, that's on me. At the top here, actually, I can pick which office I'm from on my contract, and then I still have a lot not filled in. So you notice things that need check marks or not. So selling associate is representing the purchaser, listing is selling, the seller, and so forth. So what you're doing basically is filling in whatever's missing. You should have your legal property description information. You should have anything you included. So I put all appliances, I exclude the chandelier, my price is in here, my EMD is in here, and you'll notice none of my method of payment. So this is where I'll have to come in and fill in. So I could say it's a cash sale, or if it's new mortgage, conventional, what the percentage is down and so forth. And then as you go through here, you can see the warranty showing up. My possession came in with just my security deposit. It did not show. There's 0 days, so 0 days. And then you'll go in and fill in the rest. Okay, so the idea, again, from going from Paragon, or by even pulling the MLS number, it pre-filled a lot of information for me, and the rest I have to come in here and finish it off. When you're done with this contract, you're going to go up to File, Save, and Save again, just to save what I've put in. And then we're going to go to Transaction Forms here at the top. This is where all the forms are that I've selected for this transaction, or that came in from your template. So once you're done filling one out, now you just go back and fill out the rest. So I'm going to hit my disclosure regarding agency relationship. And if I double click on that, it's going to load that one next. And now you can see I still need to fill in a few things in here. So I am a buyer's agent, and then it fills my name in, but it didn't fill in my client. So you'll want to put that in there. You have an option to do that in your Authentisign as well. So again, you'll come back in, fill in the next one, File, Save, and continue from there. So let's take a look at our options here at the top. So there's quite a bit of information here at the top. So the top left under File, first one is New. New allows you to add another form that you may not have selected. So if I hit New, now I can find the form right from here without having to exit my form editor, and I can just select whatever else I need to add in. So if you missed a form, you can add it right from here. Under File, Open Form. So this allows you to open up your forms that you've selected, which is the same as transaction forms. So it'll open up the ones that have been selected already for this transaction. Under File again, you have Save. So there's two options for Save. I've been doing File Save because I'm saving this form, so it's always editable. So I can come back in here and edit this form at any time. So if there's another change, I can come back in and make my change. When you save it as a PDF, it will download it to your computer, and as a PDF, it's locked. So you can't do anything with it. So remember, you can always come back to Transaction Desk, always go in Forms, and you can always make it adjustments right in here. Copy, I can make an extra copy. I've used this for my addendum, my general addendum, because I will type one up for one thing and then I need another one. Well, it's kind of nice because it pre-fills the date of our offer and the address, and then I fill in the rest. Erase, if I hit Erase, that is going to erase either all the pages or my current page. So you probably don't want to do that unless you've got a lot of things going on here and you want to start over. Watermark. Watermark is great. Maybe you have an attorney involved and you want to send this to your attorney and you want to let them know that this is a draft. This is not the final copy. You just want him to review it. So if you hit that watermark, you notice my draft is popping up. And then if you go back to File, go to Watermark and hit Remove, it takes that draft off. So if you need to send this to someone to show them that it's not the final contract, you could put the draft in there. Under File, Remove, if I click this, it's going to delete whatever form you're looking at. I can print it from here. I can send it to an email. I can send to a fax, which I've tested out. It does work. I can send it to my documents, which is the other folder I showed you where my disclosures were. And then I can mark it up. Let's mark this up. I'll show you what the markup tools are. And you have two options for these. You can do them in here or you can do them in Authentisign as well. And actually, I'll show them to you later. We've got them at the top as well. And then you've got Help and Save and Exit. So again, if you hit Save and Exit, it takes you back to your transaction dashboard. It takes you out of your form editor, and that's what we're in right now. To the right of File, you have Fonts. So when you select this, and I'm going to go back to my forms and go back to my buy and sell agreement because I'm going to show you, you'll notice on mine, cut off at the top. And so what it does is when you select those fonts, sometimes it cuts off. So you notice it cut off here at the top. So I can go to my fonts. You can change the style. So mine right now is alphabetical bold. So I can change it to Times Bold, which is smaller. Now everything fits better. You can also change the color. I had an agent tell me that he puts everything in a different color, like red. So you can make sure he filled everything out and then he will go back and switch it to black. But if you leave it red or you leave it pink or yellow, whatever you select, that is what your client's going to see. So just make sure you're making that change, afterwards. Okay, so let's move that back to our black. I can change the size. So if I keep my alphabetical bold, then I definitely need to go smaller and go to a 9-point so I can fit everything in. When you're making the change, it's changing the font for all the pages. So all of my pages here are going to be all the same. Okay, so, and then you have these text functions, either makes everything capital letters, makes it all smaller, or makes it mixed. So you can change, if you do change that, it changes everything. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my 10-point here, and I am going to show you clauses next. Now, if you don't see a clause button, don't worry. That just means that you don't have a clause set up. What the clause is something that you may use over and over in your contracts. For example, I'm going to click on my clause. In order to use this, you have to find a section that has multiple lines. So at the very end, where I can add additional terms or other terms, right here, you're going to have to click in there first. I can hit add clause here, hit clause here. And I have, if your office has any, it'll be under office. So here are the ones my office has. There's a few of them. If I hit back to home, I have a few myself. So here's my personal ones. So ones that I have in here is like appliances. I'm going to add these all in so you can see them. I have one for concessions. I have one for an EMD. I have a septic clause in here. Anything that you type into a lot of your contracts or something that's lengthy that you might use again, that you don't want to have to spend the time trying to remember how to word it or how to, or have to spend the time even just filling it in. The clauses are great. And I will show you at the end how you can do these. Okay, so I selected all four. Once you hit OK, it drops them right in there for you. And then you can modify them. So once they're in here, so for example, I have seller to pay and I have a blank for percentage of concessions. So I can just come in here and add that in to each one of mine, but I have it worded the way I'd like it on my contracts. Same thing with my appliances. I made sure that I have all the appliances with 0 value. I found that underwriters keep requesting an addendum wanting 0 value on appliances. So I just started putting this in so I don't have to type up another addendum later on. EMD to be made upon seller signed acceptance or seller to have septic cleaned out prior to inspection. So these are a few things I've used in the past that I've created clauses, and I can drop these in. Okay, so again, I'll show you how to create these later on if you don't see a clause button. Transaction forms we looked at earlier. So these were all the forms we selected or we had in our template for this transaction. Close. To the right of that, this book, this just moves the pages. If I want to go back to page 1, you hit page 1, and it just moves the pages quickly for you from page to page, so you don't have to sit and scroll. Okay. To the right of that, this magnifier, so if you can't read it, or if it's too big, you can zoom out, you can zoom in, or you can make it as wide as your pages, or you can make it as tall as your pages. So whatever you'd like. Okay. To the right of that, this is the markup tools. I'd like to take you through that. So if you click on markup tools here, first thing is strikeout. So if I would like to do strikeout, that means I want to put a line through something. So for example, we're not going to ask for a warranty, a home warranty. So I want to show, especially if there's multiple offers, I'm going to show we're not asking for this. I can left click because I clicked on that. It's going to draw a line. So I can put my line in. And then I'm going to have to go back up to the top again, hit strikeout again, and I can draw another line here as well. Okay, so you notice it did my 2 lines, and if I left click on these and then right click, I have an option to change the size. So if I want it really thick so they see it, I can change the color. Let's make it red so it really stands out. I can also delete it. Same thing with my other line. You can also move these around if they're not exactly where you want them. You can move it up and down. So for example, if this one didn't really hit my line, I can. And also you've got an option here once you click on these to make it longer or shorter. Okay, so that's your strikeout tool. If you go up to your markup tool again, the one below that is a line tool. Pretty much does the same thing. So if I want to put a line through these, I can. And put a line again. There's the rest of my warranty section all out. And again, if you left click on this, then right click, I can change again and change the color. Let's get a different color. There we go. Now, if you notice one thing with this one, if you look at this line, it's a little crooked. This does not straighten the lines out automatically for you like the other strikeout one does. So you're going to have to actually move it around and get it straight. So I kind of find the other one's a little bit better as far as making sure you've got a nice straight line here. Okay. And then again, you can always move this up and down. And you can delete it as well. Okay, markup tool at the top here. Next is your highlight tool. If I want to highlight something for them to notice on here, let's go to this section. Let's say prorations. We'll go ahead and select this. I can make a box right around that section, move it up and down. And then if I right click, I can change the color to whatever color I want. Let's do it grayed out. And the opacity, so how dark do you want that shading? Do you want it really dark, which I wouldn't do because you can't read what's underneath, but you can change your shading to a darker shade if you wanted to. So whatever you'd like to make this, you can. So that is your highlight tool. Redact. Redact will cover a whole paragraph. So like that warranty, if I don't want to do line by line, I can do redact. Now, if the only problem with redact, and let's say, here we go, let's say that there's no final walkthrough. With the redact, you can't read what's underneath it. So if you're marking something up and you want them to know what you've marked up, then you'll want to use your strikeout or line. Redact, again, will cover, I mean, it covers really well, but it does cover everything. And again, all these things that I'm making changes, if they've already signed, you'll want to make sure they initial these items. Annotate. If I need to add more text, now I'm in my form right now, or in my documents, and what it's doing is it's allowing me to make these changes. It's going to make this an actual document. Once you do make it a change, it's going to lock it, so I can't do anything else with it. When you've got a document, because you can't type in it, this is very helpful, this annotate tool. So if there's a section, or even if there's a section here, it doesn't allow you to add something to it, find something in here that we can type into it, then you can use that. So for example, let's say sewer and water charges, we'll drop it in here. You left click, you can see it's kind of flashing over here, and we'll put on here, no water escrow held. Maybe it's a condo and the water paid by association. So there is no water bill. So maybe I can put that in there. I'll make that a little bit bigger now. It's really, really small. So quite honestly, no one's going to be able to read this. So let's make it bigger. So you're going to right click on it. Helvetica, Courier is the options. And let's make it a 12 point so you can really read it. And I want it bold so they can see it. So there you go. So I can change the color as well. I want to make sure that stands out. So no water escrow, water paid by association. Okay. And then just make sure, again, initials are coming in with that as you make that change. So that is our annotate. And then clear all will remove everything I just did. So I'm going to leave it all so you can see it at the end. And that is our markup tools. Last thing here is your Authentisign, which we're not going to do right now. We'll be going into that next. But this is where you can take this form into Authentisign. Now, if you have multiple forms you're doing, because I'm doing an offer, I usually don't select it from here. I will either go to signings and add a new one, or I go into my forms and select the ones I want and then send them to Authentisign, one or the other, which I'll walk through with you shortly. Okay, so that is all we have in here. So we walked through all of our different tools up here at the top. Again, you'll be going back and forth through transaction forms to load each one to fill them out. I'm going to now hit File, Save and Exit, or you can hit Save and Exit from here at the top right as well. Either one will save what you've done and take you back out to your dashboard. Okay, so we are set with that. So now we have started in Paragon. We clicked on the transaction desk from the listing itself. It pulled us into our wizard. We walked through our 5 steps, which were the details, the contacts. We added our forms. We went into documents where our disclosures were. And then we went in and opened up our forms, and we actually filled in our forms, whatever was missing. So that is basically all we've got in here. So the next thing will be Authentisign, which we will do later. We're going to go into starting a transaction when it's not in Paragon or not in the MLS. So I'm going to show you that next. But before I do, if there's any questions, I can answer those right now. I know I go pretty quick here, and I hope I didn't confuse anybody. But if there's a question I can answer that right now. Either type it up in the questions, or if you want to chat, you can chat, or if you want to put your hand up, I can unmute you as well. So if there's any questions at this point, I can answer them. And if there isn't, we're going to go into our next step. So now I'm going to take you into starting a transaction right from Transaction Desk if it's not listed. So we're going to do that next. So what we're going to do is though it's a listing. Okay. So I'm going to close out Transaction Desk completely and take you in from Paragon, going in from another way. Oh, so we're going to start off fresh now back into Paragon. So I'm going to close out my tab here for Transaction Desk, and I'm going to show you the other way to get in. So if I'm not going directly from a listing, which again, the little icon is down here on your full listing report, we're going to go up to our resources. Now our resource tab is at the top right. Any of these other sites that we have, other programs that we have, anything that's included is in here. So we're going to go to Transaction Desk all the way on the right side of your screen under Online Forms. And this is your view when you first log in. So again, I want you to be able to see the different views so you know once you get in here where to go. Okay, so here is our agent dashboard. So we were looking earlier at a transaction dashboard. This is your agent dashboard. So there's quite a few things here. So you can see there's some shortcuts to start your transaction, Authentisign, your contacts, your uploads, all your transactions. I've got them right here. I've got my Authentisign down here. Again, this might look a little different. I did customize mine, forms and documents. And then when we looked at our transaction earlier, we were clicking on the right side of our screen. There were 3 lines, and that's where we went in to get to each of the folders. On this, on the actual agent dashboard, it's on the left. You'll notice you have all kinds of icons. And if you're not sure what these icons are, there's a little arrow with a couple lines here. When you open that up, it gives you all the different options right in here. So we're going to walk through these after we do the next step, and I'll take you through because I want to take you into templates and clauses at the end as well. Okay, so let's start a new transaction. So I am about to list a property. It's never been listed before. So I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to hit create transaction. So again, if you're doing a listing or even writing an offer or whatever you need to do, if you're starting from scratch, there's no listing. You're going from the icon and the shortcut. You click create transaction here. And again, it's going to be the same steps we did earlier. I'm going to name it first. So I'm going to put on here listing. I know it's not a real one. And then I'm going to select my template. Now I have a listing. So now I'm going to go to my listing package. And my options for the import data is going to be either my real source or realist. Well, if it's not listed, I can't use my real source, but we can use realist. Now we're pulling from tax records. So this is what you'll want to do. So we'll go down to realist. It's going to ask you what county. So mine's in Macomb County. So here we'll do another property. We'll do my Oakland County, which is my Dallas listing. So let's try that one. Okay, so it's going to ask you for a tax ID number. Well, I don't have a tax ID number for any of my listings. I can tell you the address, but I have no idea. So what I need to do is search for it. So if you look to the right of that, there's a magnifier. That's your tax search. So if you go to your tax search, it's going to ask you now what information you have to pull this. Now, this is just kind of like Paragon sometimes when you're running a search, less is better. If it is not exactly the way that the tax records show up, then it will not pull up. So if you're putting in road or avenue or lane, it makes it hard to find. So what I suggest is street number only, street name only, nothing else. So the property address for this is 2316, and the street name is Dallas. This is my other listing. I'm just going to pull this one. Okay, so here is the information I want in here. I'm just going to hit search tax data. So that's all we're going to do. There it is. If it doesn't pop up with anything, you hit search again. It takes you back a step and you can add that in. So again, if you're just putting in a street number and street name, you should find your results, but don't add avenue, lane, whatever. Even adding north, south sometimes doesn't pull up. It makes it a little difficult, it's frustrating, but once you find the property, all you're doing is selecting it here at the top. Once you select it, you hit select again, and now it dropped in my tax ID number for me. So now it's going to pull whatever information Realist has on it into my contracts. I am the listing agent, and I'm going to use my wizard, and I'm going to select create. So go ahead and select create. I want to show you a couple, I'm going to go through this section pretty quick, but there's a couple things I want to show you in here, some great shortcuts for listings, and a couple things that's really helped me out. Okay. All right, once this opens up, it just shows my property address here in Royal Oak. It's going to give whatever information I pulled from Realist, so property address, tax ID number, legal. And now I want to put in my listing information. So this is a listing, so I'm going to put in my list price. I have this one listed right now for $180.99. And if I want to exclude any items, I can put property excludes, or I can put property includes. So let's put on here property excludes. And let's say that they are taking bathroom fixture. I'll be replaced. Okay. And then we are going to select next at the top. So again, wizard 5 steps like we did earlier. So we'll hit next. And the next step is your transaction date. So this is a listing. So now I want my listing date. So I'm going to list this weekend. We're going to start showing it on Saturday. Expiration date on it. Whatever date you want to put. I'm just throwing numbers in here. And that's all you need. So we're going to hit next here at the top. Now you'll notice it pulled my contact. Now it pulled edit for seller. It's pulling from Realist, so Realist must not be showing this the seller's name. Again, it's Oakland County, so sometimes I don't get as much. So I'm going to put on here, Mr. Seller for this class test. And I'm going to add in my email address. You want to send this to yourself for signing, whichever one you want to do. And I'm going to hit save. Now make sure if you want this in your address book, select add. I'm not, since I'm making up my seller. Okay. Now, if there's Mr. and Mrs. and they're both on title, you're going to have to add in your next one. So like we did earlier, add in plus sign, add new, or you could pull from your existing contacts. If you already have them in your address book, maybe you were showing them houses before, you can pull them in from here. For example, my client's in here that I have that owns this property. So I can just come in here and find him. And then I can just add him directly from this transaction area. So I can click on him and drop him in. Okay. So we're going to select next. And with your forms, if you have no forms in here, we're going to add some. There are 2 that I want to show you, some shortcuts. I'm going to show you what you can do with your data sheet. I'm going to show you seller's disclosure. So let's hit add. Okay. When we hit add, I want you to search first for your data sheet. So it's going to be your My Real Source data sheet for residential. Here it is. So you need your data sheet for this. The 2 examples I'm about to show you, data sheet first, and then seller's disclosure statement, which is going to be under Mars. So I'm going to remove this. So I'll put on here seller's disclosure. Should be pulling up. Here it is. Okay. And I want my seller's disclosure form for residential. That one's for vacant land. There's one right here. Oh, you know, mine's already in there, so that's probably why it's not letting me see it. But seller's disclosure, you want to make sure there's one. Michigan Realtors has one, so make sure that's in there. And then we're going to hit add. Okay, so it should add at the bottom, but we just want to look at those 2. I'm going to show you a couple things you can do with those. And then we're going to hit next. So documents, unless you have something to upload that you need to add, maybe there's a feature sheet on this listing that you want to include. You could put the feature sheet in here. You can upload whatever you'd like, but again, I don't need anything added for myself, so I'm going to hit done. Okay. So what I want to show you in here, again, the next step would be to go into filling them out and get them ready for signing. But the things I want to show you, first of all, is your data sheet. So go to your data sheet first, please, and under forms. You can go to forms and find your data sheet and open that up. Just double click to open it. And here's mine. Okay. Once it goes into your forms library, what I'm showing you right now, so when I have a listing appointment, I come into my data sheet, I fill in as much as I possibly can. Again, there'll be a lot of information I won't know about the property. I'll find out when I meet with my client. Then I'll go meet with my client, and then I can either hand fill out this information or make notes and come back to fill it out. Then I come in here and fill out everything, including my remarks. I fill everything out. So for right now, for this example, I only need a few things so I can show you the next step. So under all required, you want to make sure you have for sale, is a single family or condo. Make sure your price and list and expiration date are in here as well. And then under location information, make sure that these items are filled in. So this is Royal Oak Schools. Make sure, and I can actually start typing out the Royal Oak here and find it. Let's see, where's Royal Oak? And make sure it's correct, because if it's not, you will get an error. It will not work. So here it is, Royal Oak Schools. My area municipality is Royal Oak as well. That, and that's all that I really need. So Again, the idea to fill all this in, just throwing a couple things in here, is because I am going to push this into Paragon and make it a partial listing. The more information you have in here, almost everything, if you fill this all out, everything that's needed, including your remarks, when you go into listings to maintain it, all you have to do is make sure it's active, confirm the dates are correct, and add in photos, and it is done. It will become a live listing from there once you save it as a full listing. The reason I do this is because time saving. I've already filled out most of this. My client has assigned it anyways. So I'm going to fill in the rest and then push it in so I don't have to go back into Paragon and start from scratch filling in all this information. Plus, if your front desk staff is the one that usually fills this in for you or puts it in online for you, I prefer to have this done. I know it's all correct. So when I push it and they're pulling it from there, I don't have to double check everything and make sure that there's no typos or no incorrect information. So you're saving yourself time. You're making sure that it's all correct before it's being pushed in there, and you're saving your front desk staff a ton of time as well. So once you've got those items in here, go ahead and hit save. And what we're going to do is hit upload listing. So if you notice, this is up here. This is the only form you'll ever see upload listing, only the My Real Source data forms. So hit upload listing. Now, if you didn't fill in the items that's needed to push this, and there's only a few, you will get an error, so you'll know in a second. And it'll tell you what's missing, so you'll just have to go back and fill in. But if you filled in the few that I showed you, you should have it upload in a second, and it will give you a partial ID number. There it goes. So it says the listing was successfully sent to the MLS system. So now I'm going to go back into my Paragon tab. So click on that. And if you go up to listings on the left here, go to maintain listings on the right and go to partials. So I went to listings, maintain partials. I'm just going to show you where it's at. So here's my listings, and there it is. So again, by doing that, I can go to the right here. If you go all the way to the right, there's an action button. You hit select an action. Now I can maintain the whole partial, and it actually will open up and show you everything that's been filled in. So I have just saved myself, half the time it would have taken if I had to type all this in, because there's a lot. There's a lot of information. Most of the sections have items that are required. Everything with red, if I hit required only, is required. So all this has to be filled in. So by filling that in before, I can save myself a ton of time. Okay, so that is how you do your partial listing. So again, data sheet from My Real Source, fill it in, fill out, come back and fill out the rest after you're done with your client, and then upload listing right from here. Hit close on this. The next thing I'm going to show you is your seller's disclosure. So you can send forms to your clients to fill out online. So one of my sellers had moved to Arizona. He was traveling back and forth, but he was selling his place here. He did not have a printer, a scanner. There's no way for me to send seller's disclosure for him to fill it out, print it, sign it, and send it back to me. So what I did is I went to my forms here, which this worked great, and he loved it. You go to your seller's disclosure statement, and let's find my seller's disclosure. Here it is. Okay. And from here, and you have two places you can send. There's actually probably more than two, because I'm not going to fill this out for him. He has to fill this out. So I can go from file up here, and I can go to send email. So the idea is you're sending him an email with this form. So I'm going to go to send email. It's going to ask you which form again do you want. I'm going to hit my seller's disclosure statement. Okay. It gives you your email window. So this is where the change is going to be that allows them to make the change. Okay, so I'm going to put my email address in here because I'm going to show you how this works. And you can change your subject line. You can type a message in for them, but here is where the option to allow them to type into it. So I'm sending it as a link, and I'm allowing them to edit the forms. If these two items are not selected, they will not be able to fill them out. So make sure you hit send as link, allow editing of forms. Now, if you have more than one form selected, whatever you have selected is going to allow them to type into them. So I would not send them everything. I typically only send them seller's disclosure. And then I always put an expiration date, because if I'm sending them the seller's disclosure to fill out, and then in a couple of weeks they go back in there and they decide to make changes to it, that could be a problem. So I like to cap it off sometimes. So I'm going to say they've got till the 15th before we list it. They had that filled out. If you look here at the top, you've got a few tabs. So from information, here's the items. So you can make sure you only have the one you want sent to them. And then I'm going to hit send. So I'm sending this to myself, and I'm going to walk you through it just so you can see how it works. So now I'm going to save and exit from here, and I'm going to go into my email. And bear with me here for it to load. And I'll show you exactly what they're going to be seeing. So I'm now the consumer, and it was sent to me by my agent. So they are going to get this. So your name will appear, Transaction Desk document sent. If you made a change to the message, it will appear in here. It says this email was sent to you by Elizabeth Harris. These documents are related to the class listing. So whatever you named this would be the property address typically. You can download these documents by clicking the link below. So if they want to read it or just see it, they can from here. You can hit to respond directly to the sender as well. So when they open this up, what it ultimately is doing is it's logging them into my transaction desk directly into that form. So whatever form you included, it will be open an option for them to type into it. So here's the seller's disclosure statement. So they're going to come in here, and now they're going to mark what works and what doesn't. So if this works, they're going to mark it, not available. So just throw a couple things in here just so you can see that it works. They don't have it. It's fine. Okay. And then if they go down to here, you can see now they can type in here. So was there any evidence of water? Yes. Put on here, water. Okay. How old is your roof? It's 10 years old. Okay, so whatever they want to type in here, they can put in all their information, you know, it's copper, and so forth. Now, when they're done, you can see they only have a few options. They can hit file, save, print. They can move this from page to page. They can zoom in and out and save and exit. Those are their only options. So they're going to hit save and exit. And they are, again, it's logged them into Transaction Desk, taking them directly to my folder. And I'm actually going to have to probably reopen mine. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to log back into it just so you can make sure it shows the update. And I'm going to go back into my transaction, which is right here. And I'm going to show you that form. So they have filled that form out. So it's still in my forms. Go down to the seller's disclosure. It is. Open that up. Now they can't sign it. I always have to tell them, and I'll tell them, and then I'll remind them in my email. They are just filling out the questions right now. You will include this with their signing when you send everything together, because a few times they're like, I can't sign it, something's not right with it. Well, it's because I haven't sent you the signing part. This is just for them to fill it out. So you can see here's my yes and no's answered. Hot water tank leaked, has been replaced, 10 years old, on the roof, and so forth. So everything they do will show here. And the nice thing about this too is if I go back to my email, you get to see that your client actually went into it. So I'll show you. And we should have an email at the top here. It is. So Transaction Desk form opened. I open it up. It will show that the form recipient, in which I put the name of class instead of putting a name on it, their email, what it was that they opened, when they opened, and the date that they opened it. So it does give you a notice, so you know that they actually went in there and filled it out. Okay, so those are my two shortcuts. These to me are very helpful. So just save and exit, and take us back to our dashboard. Okay, so that is how you create a transaction from scratch, starting from new. And again, that was just from our dashboard. So let's walk through these, or actually let's go back to we're gonna do signings next. So let's go back to our dashboard. I'm gonna pull the other one for signings. So let's go into the dashboard here at the top. Again, if you're not sure how to get to it, go to your arrow, and then there's your dashboard. And I'm going to go back to my Rosebriar. Let's do our Authentisign first, and then I just want to make sure I have enough time, and then we'll go into all of our little shortcuts here, and we'll do a template and our clauses. So let's go back to my Rosebriar. And you can take anyone you want, and let's do a signing. So different ways of doing signings. Again, you can go from your form, select what you want, hit those basket and take you there, but I like going from signing itself. So I go to my folder on the right. If you don't see it, just click on there, your signings. And just like I showed you before, you look for that plus sign and add, which is right here. And you're going to name your signings. So I try to name these because I'm going to actually put them in folders, and I like to know which is which. So I'm going to put on here listing, or no, this is an offer. This was the offer that we did, so I'll put offer package. Okay. Save. Okay, we are now going into Authentisign. So Authentisign, it used to be separate from Transaction Desk, so everything's now together, which is so much better than what it was. So you'll notice here on the right side, there's all kinds of tabs we're going to walk through. Top left here, you can zoom in, zoom out. You can print from here, you can download from here, and you can save from here as well. So the first section, our first tab here, is to add our signers. So I'm going to add participants here on the right. You can add yourself, you can add new, you can add from transaction, you can add from contacts. We've been putting everything we need in Transaction Desk. So I always go from my transaction because my contacts have been added in there already, so I'm not going to add them again. So here we go. So it's going to now show you who you have in your options. So I'm going to add Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, and I'm the selling agent on this one, so I'm going to add myself. If you want to include a listing agent on a signing, you can, and have it send directly to them when it's done. You can, and especially if there's multiple offers and you're on a time crunch, you can include them as well. But I would change what they are. So you notice here at the top, to the right of them, you have type. So I always CC the listing agent, and let me explain why. If I include the agent, first of all, I'm not going to include them as a signer because I need to send it to them for them to review, and then they will send to their buyers to sign. If I include them as a reviewer, then once we're done signing, it will go to them to review. They have to review and accept it before I get a signed copy of my contract and my buyers get a signed copy of my contract. So I don't want to wait for them to review it. I'm going to hit CC so everyone gets a signed copy at once. Of course, I'm going to sign as well. Both my buyers are signing, so I won't be changing them. And then we're going to go to here to the left where it says signing order. So you have two options. You can do a signing order where we can put what order they sign, or you leave it the way it is and it automatically sends to everyone at the same time. So I'm going to hit set signing order. And the reason I like doing this is because it allows me to put the order that I would like my clients to sign. So I usually have Mr. Buyer first. When he's done signing, then it goes to Mrs. Buyer. When she's done signing, then it comes to me. So then I can make sure everything is correct, and then I can finish my signing from there. Okay, so I usually like doing set sign order. Okay, so now we're going to go to our docs here. So we're going to add the documents that we need. So I'm going to hit add document or form. And I'm going to pull from my transaction. Now you can still upload items in here. You can go back to your files in here, but my transaction has everything I need. I had already added everything. So I need my buy and sell agreement. So I'm going to hit add. I need my disclosure regarding agency, add. And if I want any of these other forms, we're going to go down a little bit further here for my self-disclosure statement that was uploaded. Now you can tell which are the ones you filled in because it will say form underneath the name of it. If it says documents, those were uploaded. So the seller's disclosure, which I need, my lead-based payment addendum, which I need. Okay, those are all added. So I'm going to close this out. There's an X in the top right. And now it makes it one big file here. So here's everything I selected. You can see them here on the right. You can move these in whatever order you want. So if you want them in a different order, you can. Just move them whatever way you'd like them. If you scroll through here, you should see everything's been filled out. There's all my edit. There's all my markup tools I did when I was editing earlier. I added no water escrow, my redact. So all kinds of stuff added in here. Okay, so documents are in here. They look good. And now I need to add my signing on here, my actual boxes so they can sign. So what we're going to do is I'm going to close out this. I'm going to go to tools next. So I did my signers, I did my docs, and now I'm going to go to my tools. This is where we can add in our boxes. So this is where we'll add in our signature box. We add in our initials, whatever we need, check marks, dates, so forth. Now, you do have layouts. Some have been already created for you, some may not. But if you look to the right, you do have an option for layouts, which we will walk through next. I will take you through into that next, but I just want to show you how this works real quick. So first thing here at the top, where it says myself, if you click on that, it will have different signers. My signers disappeared. Hang on, let me go back to my signers. Did it remove my signers? It did. For some reason, it decided to remove my signers. So let's drop them back in here real quick. Okay. So now when I go to my tools, why is it not saving my signers? 1 second here. What's going on? It's not saving. Oh, because I didn't hit my select button at the bottom. I have my box from GoToWebinars on the right, and it always covers things. I have to keep moving it around, so I apologize. It was covering my select button. So let's do this one more time. Now I get it select. There we go. Okay, so when I hit select, I received this option, which you may have already seen. This allows the layouts to be dropped onto your pages. I'm going to set mine in here so you can see what it looks like. So what the layouts are, when you do this, when you go through this one time and you actually put in all your boxes for signing, or initials, check boxes, where they should go, you can save a layout. So what that means is it's going to remember where the boxes belong. So later on, I can drop these on to my contracts, so it saves me time from dragging them over. So I'm going to go ahead and add mine in so you can see what it looks like. And you can see mine dropped them in. So I've got mine set up already, so I can drop them right where they need to go, and it saves me a ton of time. Okay. And not everybody's in here, so you might have to go back and add different things, but I do have some of them done. So you can see, like on here, it's not. So now to add the rest on under my tools, I'm going to go to my drop down. So you make sure you select whose initials and signatures you would like. I'm going to start off with Mr. Buyer first, and I'm going to pull his. Now, if you notice, they're all different colors, so it makes it easier for you to make sure that you have the ones set up that need to be on there, so you're not putting the same person on there twice. So here's Mr. Loaded. You move his date over here. It's an auto date, which will automatically put, once they click on the box, it automatically puts the date in for them. Now I need Mrs. Buyer, so let's go to Mrs. Spends It All. Let's drag her over here, and I'm going to do the date. Now, if you notice, his name is printed underneath versus not, so we missed that. So that's not a problem. Full name is under here where it says signer fields. I can drag that over. Now I can add her name underneath as well. I need myself, so I'm going to go up to the top here again to the right. I'm going to select myself. I'm going to drag my name over and my signature, I should say, and my date. So now I have all of us in. It looks good. I'm also going to select here, it says potential buyers, not selected. So I'm going to add some checkboxes. Whoever you have selected here is who will be clicking on them for the checkboxes. So if I want to just put them under myself, I can, because I missed those. So I can drop that there. I can drop this here. Okay, so that is my checkbox, my signature line, and my outer date. So let's go down further. Let's look at the rest of the tools we have in here. Here's my initials. So let's go back to Mr. Buyer here. Let's move his initials over here to the seller's disclosure statement. And same thing with Mrs. Buyer. We're going to add her initials next to his. Now, once you have these pulled on here, you can actually make changes to them. So if I click on the box, you can see here, I can scale it bigger and smaller. So depending how big you want them. It's required. That means they have to click on that box. If you don't have this turned on, that means they can bypass it. Name block, if I need to add that in, you can select it here. Date stamp and time stamp, I can select all those as well. Okay, so now I'm going to click X to go back, and let's scroll down a little bit further here so I can show you some of the other items. So I have an option here for initial pages. This allows you to initial multiple pages. So let me see if I have anything else that needs. We'll go back to our original contract, our PA. When you hit initial pages, it will ask you how large of a initial box would you like? Medium size, large, let's go large so you can see the difference. Where do you want them aligned? So right now my initials on my purchase agreement, I believe, are on the right. So let's add it to the left side of our screen so you can see them. But you put those wherever they should go, which would be the right. And then where is it being placed on the document? The top or the bottom? Well, I want these on the bottom. Who are the signers that were adding their initials to my purchase agreement? So I want Mr. Loaded and Mrs. Loaded. and which of my contracts are they actually initialing. So we're going to do the buy and sell agreement. Do I want all 5 pages? I believe page 5 does not require, yep. So I'm going to do page range 1 to 4 because page 5 does not require initials. So we'll do 1 to 4. Okay, so now I've got this all selected. I'm going to go down to the bottom where it says place initials. Let's go back to the pages where you can see it. Place initials. There they are. So now what I did is I just initialed multiple pages. So here's page 4 of my contract, page 3, page 2, page 1. Now they may not be where they need them. You can always move them around. Again, you can always click on these and you can make them bigger and smaller. And if you need to add a date stamp or time stamp, you can do that as well. Okay, so that is your initial pages. So let's see, we've done the sign here in the initials. We did our checkbox text line. If you add a text line, this is for your client to fill in. So you're adding a box for them to fill in information. I use this when I'm doing my listing agreements, my exclusive right to list for my realtors. When I fill that out, they have to add the last 6 of their social security number when they sign. I will use this text line and it allows them, just throw it over here somewhere, bottom. It allows them to fill this in. So if they need to fill something else in, say we drop it down here, they can type in. So when it gets to them, that box will be open, they click on it, they type in whatever needs to go in there, and they're all set. So that's what your text line does here. We just did initial pages. We have initial choice. So let's go to lead-based paint addendum. They have the choice of having a lead-based paint inspection, or they can waive it. So I can give them an option here by hitting initial choice. It gives them 2 initial boxes, and they can put on here, one on to receive 10 days. I can put one here where it says waives, and I'm going to do that for both of them. So let's do for Mr. Buyer as well. So we'll add his initial choice. It's his. Drop that in. So when they get this, they have the choice of one or the other. So when they click on it, it's going to only select initials for one side. It won't allow them to select both. So that's what your initial choice does. You also have these radio choice buttons where instead of initials going in, it puts a dot. So if I didn't want to do it this way, and I just want to put dots for options, I can hit initial. Oops, I did the wrong one, I apologize. Let's go back to tools for a second here. Radio choice, you can see the 2 dots came in, and then I can move these wherever I want. So if I want them to select one or the other, which I'll put these on here so you can see how they work, they can do that. Now, if you need more, say they have more than 2 options, you can add additional options by clicking on it. And it's supposed to allow you to add additional. There it is, there's a plus sign. So you can see where the plus sign is. Now it just added a 3rd dot for me as well. So if I want to give them one more choice, I can. Okay, so that is your radio choice. You can put a drop down in. So if I need a drop down where they make a selection. Honestly, I've not used this one yet, so this should be interesting. So let's put one in here because I like to test it out. So drop down, there it is, and then they have an option of what they're going to say. So what is your actual options? And so you're separate with new lines to create your drop-down list. So I don't know what you could use this for. So I don't know. You can just throw stuff in here. So we'll put appliances, lines. I don't know. Just throwing something in there. I just want to see how this works. And then they have to select. They can select one or the other. You can put on the required, and then that would be it. So that's for your drop-down list. Okay. So that's all your signer actions here. Signer fields, we looked at full name. So if they're missing, again, their name underneath their signature line, you can drop it in from here. Let's see if we'll throw right here for social disclosure. So if I wanted to add the wife here, do this, oops, and I want Mrs. loaded. So let's change it back again. You have to make sure that you change whoever the signer is at the top when you're using any of the tools, because that's anything you do in here is for that signer. So I'm going to add in full name. There it is. We'll drop it right down here. And then we are going to add her sign here box and move her. Oops, it'd probably help if I had it in the right spot. How about buyer? Okay, let's move her down. And then same thing for my Mr. Buyer here. And we're going to drop in again, left click, drag that over, move our date. Perfect. And then we're going to do a full name for him as well. Okay, so I have everything in here I need. You also have the option to add an email address. You can do your auto date, which we have right here, and auto time as well. If I wanted auto time included, I can. So I can drop that in. And then for Mrs. Buyer as well, I can do an auto time and drop that in as well. Okay, so that's all your signing fields. Markup tools. We looked at those markup tools earlier, actually filling in the forms. You have an option in here. Now, usually when I have an offer, if I'm the listing agent and I get an offer and we want to, we're going to counter the offer, I like doing it in here because then I can remember to put in my initials for my clients, for my sellers, to make sure that they're initialing everything for all the changes that we're making as well. So here's your markup tools. First thing you have is a text box. If you get to this point and you realize I forgot to type in all of the items that they want. So let's go back here, which is all appliances. I forgot to put in here zero value. So, or I forgot to put it in completely. You can hit text box, click where you want to go. And I'm gonna click on it in here and start typing. So I'll put in here. Oops. Should have a little cursor there with zero value. Okay. So here it is. So now I want to change it so it kind of fits in with what I already have typed in. First thing is I want it transparent. So I'm going to go here on the right side, click transparent background. There it is. Next, I'm going to look at the size of it. It's a little too big. So let's say we want to go a little bit smaller on it. And then I want it bold so it matches the rest of my type. So it looks like I typed it in before and I didn't forget it and did it last minute. There you go. So it looks really good. You can't even tell. So that's the nice thing about having the text box option and that you can make it transparent. Now, this is my listing. I get an offer. We are countering the price and I want to type it in. I want to cover the area where the price was because there's not a lot of space to work with. So I'm going to go text box. I'm going to start it down here so I can type it up. So they came in at 350. We're going to counter at 360,000. So now I'm going to make it bold first on the right and make it a little bit smaller so it fits. And now I'm going to move this over to where my original was here. Oops, actually, I can make it a little bigger. Let's go 14 point. So I'm going to make this box a little bit smaller here. And you can see right now, I don't have a transparent background. Because if I had transparent, you can see everything behind it. But we're going to keep it without transparent. And I'm going to cover this. So you can see I can cover that price right up right there. And then I can have my client's initial. So if I'm going to do a counter offer or I need to cover something, you can by putting in that text box and making sure the transparent's turned off. Okay. So that is where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Or actually, you know what? We'll leave it on there. And I'll put my initials on there for my client. Okay. So that is your markup text box. You can highlight. I need to highlight something. Maybe I want to show them to make sure that they don't forget they need to go to keydeposit.com. And if I click on this box, I can, it's pretty dark, the opacity, so I probably go lighter just so they can read behind it. You can change the color as well, and then you can move this around. So that's your highlight tool. You go down to the bottom again under markup, your line tool's in here, and then you can remove something. So maybe they don't want to, they want to remove, see we did the home warranty, there's a line here I forgot to remove. So let's go ahead and draw a line through that. There we go. Just like before, you can make changes to the color and to the thickness. I want to all match, there we go. Now hit this X to go back. Okay, under markup again, you have freehand. Now, I use the line tool all the time. I use the strikeout tool, which is right here, which is the one that we did earlier. So I can remove things there, nice straight line. I don't use freehand. Freehand is if you are an artist or an engineer, or you can draw straight lines, it works out great. But I cannot make a straight line. So it looks like a 5-year-old was drawing on my page. So I prefer not to use the freehand. You are welcome to, but that's what the freehand does. Again, it's not going to be a nice, pretty straight line like the rest of them. And just like the rest, you can modify this as well by changing the color or changing your width. Okay, so that is your freehand. And the last thing is your ellipse here. This is to circle something. So if I want to highlight something on here, say we're doing the security deposit. Make sure that they see it's a $2,000 security deposit, so there's no confusion. I can do this. There we go. And just circle it down, and you can highlight or whatever you want. But if you want to circle something, you can. And again, that's an ellipse tool. Okay, so that is all your signing tools. So we went through your options for your signer itself. You make sure you go through your drop-down menu first, select who it is. Then you're going to go in here and put in what you need. Your boxes for your signatures, initials, auto dates, which will be under here, full names, and then if you have to mark anything up on your page. So those are all your tools. So the only thing that we have left to do now is to send this to our client. Now, a couple things. When you go to signers, I did select signing order. So right now, if you notice, my signing order is not correct. Right now, it has it coming to me first, then my buyers. I like to have my buyers sign first. So I'm going to left click up here to the left of the number and drag it down. So Mr. Buyer's first. Once he signs, then Mrs. Buyer will get an email. Then she'll sign. When she's done, it comes to me. I'll sign. Then it will CC a copy to the listing agent. So I did my order here. Okay, and the layouts I want to show you real quick. So if I came in here and filled this all out, I don't have any layouts set up, and I filled this all out, and I want to use this over and over again. I don't want to have to go through this. You saw the amount of time it took me to drag things over. So I am going to save the layout. So you have an option to save these. I'm not going to really save mine right now because you can see this disaster here. It's not what I want on my pages, but if you go under layouts and you go to layout option, you can apply the layouts that are already saved. You can create one or you can manage it. So I'm going to create a layout, and it will tell you that layout's already been done. So you can see here, disclosure regarding agency, it's red. And this is not, it's kind of clouded. So if I want to create another one, I have to rename it. Because right now, this is the name that appears as the name of that form. So I would have to rename it, and then I can create it again. So I'll have a new one. If it's not created, there isn't one created, you can right from here and hit create, and that will save those changes. I'm going to hit close. Once your layouts are in here, you can now go into layouts. You can manage layouts as well. So I can come in here and I can modify any of the layouts that I have. And it'll load it, and you're able to make your changes to it. Okay, and then you can, or you can apply them again. Those are ones that are done already, which we did. Okay, so that's your layout options. The only thing, a couple things left here is options. This allows you to change signatures. So if I put in, change it right now. If I put in to change a signature, it allows me to switch out. So for example, all these boxes I put in, I can swap out who the signature is here. So I can rename these basically. Signing details, that's the name of the signing. I can set an expiration date for the signing. I usually don't set an expiration date unless it's a multiple offer deadline. If my client doesn't get in signed by a certain time, it's not going to happen. Then, at that point, I can put an expiration date, and then their email will not allow them to select it to sign after that time, date and time you set up. Reminders, I like turning this on. I like the old reminder better. We used to be able to send it every 15 minutes to remind your client to sign. Now you can send it every day once. So I can send every day at 9 a.m. save changes in case they forget. I sometimes forget. I'll be busy and I forget to sign one of my signings as well. So I like having those reminders for everyone set up. Authentisign ID position. Whenever your client signs, it will create this key code. It's unique to them and to that signing. So what it does, it stamps it on every page. So if you want to move the location, which a lot of times I like moving it, it's on the top left, I prefer to have it at the bottom. You can do bottom left or bottom right, wherever you want it, and you can hit save change, or you can leave it the way the default is. The last option here, clear signing fields, or you can clear your markups. So I can clear all those signing boxes I put in. I can clear all those crazy markups I put all over the place. I'm going to leave everything the way it is right now, but that allows you to clear. And that's basically it. So we have walked through all of our tabs here. We have added in all of our signatures and initials for all of the signers that we selected. So the last step now is just to send it. So I'm going to send it to myself and start the signing. So you can either watch me or you can do yours as well. But I find that if you walk through this a few times, it's going to be so much easier for you to explain it to your client when they're calling you and they're frantic because they don't know how to do this. So hit next. And in here, again, you have an option. Do you want to set an expiration date? And do you want to customize your invites? So if you want to type in a message or change your subject, I'd like to change my subject. Put on here, offer for, this one is for Willis Ryder. So when they get it, they know what this is. And then I can type in any message I want right down here. And I can hit save. And if I hit customize invites again, actually, if I scroll down further, here's the rest of them. So then I can make the change for each of my buyers. And I can type in any message I'd like for them. It's usually easier. Just copy and paste this. Copy. Okay, and hit save. The only thing it doesn't allow you to change the message or the subject line is for anyone you CC. So if they are a signer or reviewer, they will get that option. And I didn't explain reviewer earlier. I kind of just briefly went over it. But again, a reviewer is someone that will actually review the documents that you just sent them for signing. They're not signing anything, and they're accepting it. So they're still stopping at them. They have to review in order for it to go to the next step. So if you are including someone as a reviewer, maybe an attorney is involved, you can do that, a parent, whatever. They will have to review and accept it before it goes to the next person to sign, or it gets completed, whatever, wherever you put them in. So I'm going to hit send. And then I'm going to open up my email, because now as the buyer, I'm going to get an email. So I'm going to go ahead and close out Transaction Desk. I'm going to go back to my email. And I'm going to walk through this real quick so you can see how it works. And that way, make it easier for you and your clients. Okay. So once they get the email, it will look like this as soon as mine loads. It should be in here. Now, I did set a signing order, so there's only going to be one signing request right now because it goes one by one. So I'm going to go up here at the top where it says signing invitation offer to Rose Breyer, and this is what your buyer is going to see. So signing invitation, it says, hello, Mr. Loaded. I've sent you an invite to participate as a signing in a party Authentisign e-signature document signing. It gives them the signing name. It says to start signing, it'll be required to confirm your identity and accept the terms of service. So this is what you need. So basically, they're going to hit start signing right here. Give it a second to load. This is where they're going to accept. Okay, so once they get to accept the terms, they're accepting and saying they are who they are that's signing. So actually, it's theirs and not somebody else's. And then you're going to notice here, it's going to take you to these boxes. So once you hit start, it's going to move quickly. At the top, it shows them how many different boxes there are. They've got 15 items to go through. They can zoom in, zoom out. They can reject this. They have an option to change their signature, and then they can view disclosures and history, and they can exit from here. So I tell them to go ahead. They can also download or print. So if they want to read through this, it's usually easier to read through it either before or to have another copy somewhere, because once you hit start, it moves the pages. So I'm going to hit start real quick to show you. So here's the first box, and it's going to highlight them. They just click on it, and it's going to highlight them again. There we go. Now, if you notice, mine didn't give me an option. Yours may have to select a font or signature. I've used this name before, so it's pulling the one it was before. When I do Mrs. Buyer, I'll show you how to change it. I'm just going to look through these really, but it does go quick. So here is where they can initial choices. I'm going to scroll back up to the top so you see how they can initial one or the other. But then they also have the option of selecting. So if they want to select this one, they can only select one with that radio button. So that's the radio buttons. This is initial choices. So they get one or the other. Okay. And then the last thing here is a drop down, and they have to select what it is they want. So when they're done, it'll say you're almost done, complete signing. I'll say you're all set. They can print and download again from here. But once everyone's done signing, they will get an email to download the full package, the full offer package signed by everyone. So typically that's what most people want, but they can download here too. Okay, so I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back to my email. So you can see here, mine's been done. So first, Mr. Buyer finished. So now I get an update as the agent that says that action's been taken place, the offer package, the document's been accepted, the date and time. It also tells me their ID number, their key code right here. So this will be stamped on every page that they signed or initialed or clicked on something. So all of their pages will be marked with this as well. Okay, so now I'm going to go back, and then the next one is Mrs. Buyer. So let's hit signing invitation again. I'm going to start signing for her. Okay, she's going to accept the terms. Now, I must have used her name again, so it's not giving me an option to select, but I want to show you how you can change your signature. So here's the signature options. So you probably already saw this if you're walking around along with me. So they can pick a style of a font, and they have five options still. Yeah, that hasn't changed. So 5 options. So they can pick any one of these fonts, and they can have a nice, pretty initial signature. They can draw. So if you look at the top here, they have options in these tabs. So we can hit draw. You can use your mouse, finger, stylus, and they can actually put their signature in. So let me try to do this real quick with the mouse. It's not as pretty, as you can see. Mouse is not as easy. Finger, obviously, stylus is much easier. And then her initials, and they can keep that. And then it will remember for future signings. Now, if they don't like it, they can clear it, and they can try again. Sometimes doing it a few times makes it a little bit easier. Not so much for me. Still looking horrible, but you've got the idea. So they can draw it. They can also change this to thickness, and they can also go back to styles and pick the nice, pretty font, which I usually prefer. So once they have it selected, they just hit set signature. Okay. Now, hers is started, so I'm going to hit click on these boxes really quick. You can see her nice little initials going in here. And they're going to get through. She has 14 boxes. So this text is for listings that they have to put in the last 6 of their social security number. I do that for my listings, and then hit next. And this is where they can select it, and then they hit complete signing. And they're done. So they can print and download from here, and they're all set. So this Mrs. Buyer and Mr. Buyer are done. So I'm going to go back to my inbox. It says here, Mrs. Buyer has also completed her signing, and then her key code as well. Now I set myself as the agent next. Now, as the agent, I have created my signature, and I use it over and over again. Actual signature, I think I used the stylus when I did mine. So you'll save it, and you'll be able to use it over and over, and you won't have to go through creating it again. So that's mine. And I got to select my buyers here, and that's it. I only had one signature line complete, and we're done. So now everyone should be getting an email. I've completed it. So now it goes back to, and here's my last email to show it was accepted by myself with my key code. So now it's going to send a completed copy. As you can see here, I have 3 of them. It's going to go to Mr. Buyer here, Mr. Loaded. Another one will come in for Mrs. Loaded. And then the last one will come in for myself as the agent. So now they all have the same option. You can download a copy of the signed document. So I'm going to go ahead and download it. And you have multiple places to find these documents when they're done. I'm going to show you all of them real quick. So I downloaded this one, so you can take a look at it. And here is my completed signing as it loads here. It does make it a PDF, so it is locked. And it's going to verify. You notice that each time you open it, it'll verify all signatures. And as I scroll through here, you're going to see things that I've highlighted. The initials are in here. You're going to notice those key codes. Those came in for the clients. All my markup stuff is in here. Here real quick. Here is their actual signatures. And it should be in here somewhere too. Here's my signature as well. And that's it. So it's done. So now they have a PDF copy. It's signed. Now I did include the listing agent on this as well. So the listing agent is going to get a copy as well. So everybody gets a copy. Okay. If they didn't, then you're going to download that copy, and now you can email it to your client, to the listing agent, and send it with the pre-approval or whatever else you want to send it with. So let's go back to, let me take you back into, I'm going to show you where else you can find it. So let's go back to Transaction Desk. And you can find it right in the transaction itself. So earlier when I explained the forms are the documents that you actually can fill in and make changes to, your documents are your PDFs. And whenever you do a signing, it drops it back into your document. So let's go to my Rosebriar again here. I'm going to open up my document folder. Okay, if you notice here at the top, offer package and the date and time, I click on that to open it. Here you go. So you can tell these were signed by the key. You notice there's a key next to each one. So if you touch those, it says certified and digitally signed. So if I open one of this up, and these are separate. So a lot of times if I am sending this myself to the listing agent, I may have included things in there that they don't need, like the wire fraud form, affiliate business arrangement. I maybe have a buyer agency in there. I don't want to send those automatically to the listing agent with my offer. So then in here, I come in and I will select the ones I want. So I can just pick whatever of the contracts that I want to send. But see that they're all signed, highlighted, initialed, and so forth. So from here, I would select the ones I'm going to send to the listing agent. So I need my purchase agreement, seller's disclosure, agency disclosure, and lead-based paint. I'm going to click on my basket, and I can either download these right onto my computer and then send them that way, or I can email them directly from here. I usually will download them, and I like to send them directly from my email so I can see it went through. You can also BCC yourself on it to make sure it goes through, and you can get a copy sent to yourself. And I usually send them as an attachment as well, so you can see here's the 4 that I'm sending. So that is how I send it to the listing agent. So once you're done signing, you can send it to whoever you need to. But again, anyone involved that you selected to sign, review, or CC will get a copy they can download right from your email. Okay, and that's it. And if you go under signing as well, if I go back to my signing, you can see here it's been completed. I can see the participants. Now I can actually open this up. And in here, you can see the signed copy as well. You can see all the forms again. You can see the certificates on it. You can see the history on this. You can see everything you've done to it. Copy to your cloud. You can view your signed certificates. So this says that they are legitimate and they did sign for themselves. You can view the signed PDF as well, and they'll download that for you as well. So you can get the finished copy in your email. You get the finished copy in your email. It goes into your documents in the transaction. And you go under signing itself in that signing folder and find it in there as well. So you can find it in multiple places. And that's it. So that is our Authentisign. So again, just a quick recap on that. So all I did was went to Transaction Desk. I had done everything in Transaction Desk and created my my forms and my contacts and everything for that signing. Went into signings. I added a new signing, and then I walked through the 4 steps, which was adding my contact, adding in my forms, putting in my tools, and adding in all their signature areas, and then sending it to my clients to sign. So that is it. So we are done with Transaction Desk and the signing part to show you how to do them, but I'm going to take you now into the dashboard for Transaction Desk because I want to show you where you can change your preferences. You can customize a few things and how to add those templates and clauses before we run out of time. But before I do, is there any questions? Is there anything I went too fast? I probably went through too fast through most of it, but anything I can show you again or something I may have missed. If you do, you can send that in right now. And so let's see. So yes, I did see, Sonia, you did ask about our step-by-step. If you look on the right side of your screen, Debbie's been great and she added handouts for you. So if you look at the right where your question bar is and your chat and so forth, go down to handouts. She has added 5 handouts. So it is Transaction Desk. It's going to be your creating the PA, your templates, your seller's disclosure, your clauses, and Authentisign. These are step-by-steps that we've created with screenshots to make it easier for you. You can also find them in Paragon. Everything in Paragon or anything that we have that you might need help with. If you go to MLS documents here at the top, you have an option for an education folder. So you're going to go to your education folder and right up here. And these are all the handouts that we have. Everything's broken down by sections. So if you just need help with sending out, doing something with Cloud CMA or whatever it might be, I usually just type up here. So for Transaction Desk, enter, and it's going to pull for you every handout that we've created. You just click on it and it downloads a PDF right to your computer. So those are under MLS documents and those are under your MLS folder with education. There's 89 of them in there. And again, obviously our classes are here for you too, but let's go back to the last section. Let's go through those icons on the left of your transaction desk, and we'll be done after that. So let's look here on the left again to open this up so you can see what each one is. Dashboard is the first one, and we looked at that earlier, so you can see it's just a shortcut to get to everything. If you go back and go to transactions, all of your transactions are in here. Every time you click on that icon in Paragon to create a transaction, it creates this folder for you in here, and then you can go back to any one of these by clicking on them. You also have an option to click on these, and in your basket, you can remove them. Now, my office has changed again. I was explaining earlier, our staff, our front desk staff now, instead of us emailing them the documents or what have you, they can go into our actual transaction itself and look up our documents in there, or they can upload things in there for us. And so they approve everything. You can see on some of mine that are actual ones that are going right now, how much of it is complete. So then I can see what's missing, and they can keep track of everything all in one spot. It makes it a little bit easier for everybody. So I can't, but you might be able to delete some of these. You might have an option for, like, I have a lot of class test ones, so I have a ton in here. So if you want to remove some, you should have an option to do that. But with the three dots here, it does give you an option for your dashboard that goes directly into whatever transaction you're selecting, their details, and then all the sections that we went through, the contacts, the documents. You also have an option for checklists, tasks, signings, and history. So it does have quite a bit of information in here. So that again is on the left side under your transaction, or your transaction desk dashboard, transactions. Under there is signings. All your signings are in here as well. So if you click on signings, here they are. And now from here, I can edit. I can view the signed PDF, another place you can find it, see the certificates, forward documents, copy to cloud, duplicate, signing details, and delete it as well. Okay. If you go to the left of your screen again, the next one's going to be your forms. So just to see what forms you have in here, this is where you can go in and look at the forms that you have options to get to. So you can go to whatever section. If I want to go to Michigan Realtors, and go in here and see what forms I have for options. And again, if you just type in here, it does give you an easier way to find everything. All right, to the left of my screen again, we're going to go down to documents. Again, documents is anything that has been uploaded into the system. So you have a transaction folder. So whenever you create a transaction, whether you create it from here or you create it from clicking on that link, it creates that folder and documents for you as well. So if I go into my transaction folder, I have quite a bit. The only thing I don't like is it's in order by the street number, not the street name. So sometimes I've got to look that up, but everything is in here that you can imagine. So if I needed to go back to one of my old ones, I can open them up in here, and it will show me what I have in this folder. And if I did an Authentisign, you will see those in here as well. So here's all my PDFs for this one. Okay. So those are all under your documents. So it kind of looks like a little storage box here. And then you go in here and you go under transaction folder. There's also shared documents. If your office have any shared, or if you have your own folders created, or even inbox folder, you might have items in there as well. Under documents, you have tasks. If you want to create a task, you can, which I've created some, and you can do those directly in the transaction. But what the task is are reminders for yourself. Here for us, so since my office has been using this system in here, you can see that they actually have it marked off what has been done to it, when things have been done, and so forth. And you can see if something's missing as well. So this is kind of, like I said, again, there's a lot that can be done here for your office staff as well. So I'm going to go to the left again. Contacts. All my contacts are here. So if you want to come back in, you can view any of your contacts from here. You click on this, you can edit, you can email to them, or you can delete them. And if you need multiple, if you got to clean this out, I have a million Mr. Loaded, Mrs. Spends a Lot, Mr. Spends It All, whatever it is. You have all those fake accounts in here. You can come in here, select a bunch of them, and then your basket should give you an option to delete them as well. You can also send them to an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, to the left again. I'm going to go back up here to the top. Clauses. So let's do a clause real quick. So I'm going to show you how to create them, and then I'm going to show you your template as well. So for your clauses, you have to go under personal. If the office creates any for you, they'll be in here. You can't modify or change them, and you can tell it's from the office because it has 2 people on them. If you go to personal clauses, they'll have 1 person. That means you've created them and you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to add a new one. So we're going to look for that add and plus sign, top right corner. And it's so easy. You hit add new clause, name it so you know what you're putting in there. So if I'm putting in there concessions, I can type in concessions, and then your content is what is going to type in your contract. So whatever you type in here is what shows on your contract. The title is just so you know which one to select. Okay, so I'm not going to save mine, but you can do ones, like I said, as mine, like my appliance one, where it lists everything and mine says with 0 value. You can do one about concessions, whatever you might need to use over and over again. It's just nice to have these pre-done because it saves you a ton of time. Okay, so that is how you do your clauses, and you can always come back and delete these or edit them as well. Like I said, it will open them. You can make any change and just hit save. All right, let's do this. I'm going to add a heavy line. There we go, 0 value. Perfect. Okay, so that's your clauses. Let's go to the left side of your screen and let me show you templates. And this is, I love that they did this because now you can get to these easier. So let's go to transaction templates. Okay, so in here, you can see what you have. So if your office has some created, again, you just look for 2 people, and you know those are done by your office. If you have any that you've created, maybe you did some way back when and didn't realize you had them in here, you will see those in here as well. And then if you want to create your own, you just hit add. Again, that great add plus sign, just look for that. And this is easy. So I'm going to do one as a class. So do a test real quick. Usually do. You can put a description. Now your type is important. Whatever type you put in here, this is what knows that when you select that type, when you're creating a transaction, it knows to add these forms into that transaction. So if I am doing a residential lease, for example, it will know that these forms that I selected, these forms are going in. So I'm going to hit save. And all you're going to do is you're going to add those forms in. So I'm going to go down to the bottom here because I don't need that. You can add other items as well, but the most important here, I guess, is the forms. So I'm going to go hit the plus sign, the great old plus sign to add it. And I'm going to find what I need. So I just did residential lease. So let's put on here lease. Let's find my leases. Okay. So I want to grab disclosure regarding agency for a lease, my exclusive right to list for a lease. Maybe I want to do a lease closing statement. So again, this will allow you to add different items you need for a lease. And it drops them right there for you. And once they're in here, you can now move them in whatever order you want. Okay. And then you're set. It's that simple. Again, you can add more documents if you need to upload. Maybe you have a certain thing you want uploaded in there that you add to all your transactions. If you want to add contacts, you can add in here your title company because you want to make sure they're on each time for whenever you start a transaction. You can add them in here. If you have a checklist or things you want to add, you can. So that is that. It's that simple. So again, that's just on the left side of your screen under templates. And that's it. So I know I have overloaded you with a lot of information, but we've made it through everything. So again, it's just writing up that purchase agreement directly from a listing itself, from your search and going into there, going into Transaction Desk and creating it from scratch from here, going into your signing, creating your signings, and then I think we got most. I think that's basically it. So we went through quite a bit. So if you have any questions, you are always welcome to call our tech support. We have those handouts for you. If there's any questions I can answer now or anything I can show you one more time. Otherwise, we pretty much have gone through quite a bit of stuff. So best way to learn this is to continue using it. So if you do the class with me today, and then in a month you try to go back in here and try to figure it out, it's going to be difficult. So I suggest while you're watching TV tonight, grab one of those handouts and just create a couple different ones. Send them to yourself, send them to your kids, whoever. Just play with it. It makes it so much easier. You're not going to break it. It'll be fine. And if you can't figure it out, call tech support. And that way they can walk you through it so you don't spend 2 hours trying to figure it out. And you're always welcome to come to classes, obviously, as often as you'd like. All right, so I think we are good. So we are set for today. So thank you so much for joining us. I apologize we had a little bit of a late start there, but hopefully this was helpful. And don't forget, download those handouts right now if you didn't get a chance to. And if you want to do it later, you can. Again, MLS documents, go to your MLS folder and go to those education folder, and you can download whatever you need. And okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Enjoy the weather. It's going to be beautiful all week. And I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much, Deb. I appreciate it for your help as always. All right, everyone have a good one. Thank you so much.